This week, the U.S. and Canada announced they are keeping the northern border closed for at least another month. The travel ban for non-essential traffic was put in place in March to slow the spread of the coronavirus. It was scheduled to expire this Sunday, but now the border will remain closed through July 21st. It doesn't affect trade or essential workers who cross the border, but it is having a huge impact on tourism, which is why New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is asking the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Secretary and Canadian Minister of Public Safety to look for ways to get the border open.
I think we need to safely reopen the border. So I don't know, some ideas could be temperature checks, like when you're entering a facility. For example, when I enter certain office buildings in Washington when we're in session, they ask you, do you have the following symptoms? I think we need to consider doing that and utilizing our strong relationship we have with CBP and their Canadian counterparts to think proactively about how we can update those operations. I do want to see the border open back up. Much of the concern has been on the Canadian side because they hear all of the coverage of New York City, but the tourism impact has been so significant to our region.
Not unexpected. We knew, given the spikes in some places, and particularly in the southern U.S., and some slowness in recovery in Canada, including in places like Montreal, that we were going to see an extension. What the great disappointment is that we and many others on both sides of the border have said, enough is enough in terms of these simplistic 30-day extensions without any thought or any consideration as to how we move forward. Where are the metrics? Where is the game plan for how we may, in a phased way, given certain levels of performance or events, move to add this category or add these categories to essential travel or allow regional travel in some areas? There's no thought or process behind this. That's what we object to.
And while the border closure hasn't impacted trade, it has hurt tourism. Jim McKenna with the Regional Office of Sustainable Tourism in Lake Placid says businesses there say 20% of their visitors are from Canada. We asked the Congresswoman about the border when she visited Mold-Rite Plastics in Plattsburgh to see safety upgrades the plant has made since the COVID-19 outbreak. Along with temperature scanners at the entrances, workers are more spread out and wearing face coverings. There were no layoffs here during the pandemic. In fact, Mold-Rite has increased its workforce by 10% to meet the growing demand for the billions of bottle caps it produces. The plant employs more than 500 workers and needs to hire more, but is having trouble filling 25 open positions.
We've had lots of challenges in hiring, and we suspect some of this has to do with the unemployment benefits. We're obviously not positive about that, but we do know there are people who with the state plus the federal are actually making about 2x what they would make here. We've got good jobs open, $14, $15 an hour in the jobs, and we're struggling to find staff for sure.
This has been feedback that I've heard from many employers, whether you're a small business or manufacturer, and that it's been a challenge to hire people with that additional $600. My perspective on that is we want to incentivize people going back to work. So if we're looking for government support rather than the continuation of the unemployment assistance, I think we should be looking at creative solutions for back to work bonuses so that people, again, have that incentive to go back to fill these good paying jobs in the region.
Stefanik applauded the company for its new COVID safety measures. Mold-Rite says none of its 500 workers or their families have tested positive for the coronavirus.